So good day to everyone. We are now on the topic value added tax. And this part, we would like to, or I would like to discuss to you the output VAT. Okay? So that's output VAT of sale of goods. Now, here is the background. So kapag sale of goods po tayo, this is subject to 12% VAT. That is based on the gross selling price in the month of sale. So we have here illustration number 1. So in June 2019, ABC Corporation made the following sales. So we have here cash sales, 200,000. May sales on account po tayo, 80,000, of which 80,000 was collected. Installment sales of 300, of which 120 was collected. And that is a total of 600,000 pesos. So we have here the output VAT. Okay. So how do we compute for the output VAT? Based on the guidelines, 12% VAT po tayo based on the gross selling price. So wala naman pong sinabi saan na dapat it must be collected for it to be able to be charged for 12% VAT. So the sales, whether cash sales or sales on account, will be considered in the computation of our output VAT. Okay? So again, if I may give a short background of output VAT, as what you have learned on the previous topics, output VAT, ito po yung VAT upon selling your goods and upon rendering your services to your customers. Okay? So yan po yung output VAT. So here, we will not consider the collections here. We will be considering the total sales, whether cash or non-cash transactions. So that's 600,000 times 12%. Therefore, our output VAT is 72,000 pesos. So we have here another information for unreasonably lower selling price. There are times kasi that the establishment will be giving a lower selling price beyond or below its market value. Now, to further discuss that one, the VAT on sale of goods is normally based on the gross selling price. However, the VAT is based on the fair value of the goods if the gross selling price is unreasonably lower. So we have here a rulings. No? VAT will be based on the fair value of the goods kapag ang gross selling price daw natin is lower. And to describe that one, unreasonably lower daw po. Therefore, the gross selling price is unreasonably lower when it is lower by more than 30%. So, if we had a hard time determining ano po ba yung quantification ng unreasonably lower natin, it could be lower if that is if the excess or the deficiency is more than 30% of the actual market value of the goods sold. Nonetheless, if one of the parties is the government, the output VAT shall be based on the actual selling price. So meron po tayong guidelines dito. Yes, if that is unreasonably lower than 30% of the actual market value, fair market value po ang gagamitin natin on the selling price. But if the customer is a government, then actual selling price po ang gagamitin natin kahit pa yan is unreasonably lower. Okay? So for us to know or to understand the theory, we have here an illustration number 2. A VAT registered seller made the following sales of goods to private customers during the month. So meron po tayong customer A na ang selling price is 150 with a fair value of 180. Customer B with a selling price of 200 and a fair value of 190,000. Customer C with a selling price of 102,000 and a fair value of 150,000 pesos. So for a total of 452. So how will we know if the percentage is unreasonably lower? We just simply divide the selling price to its fair value and get the percentage. Okay? So A, that's 150 divides 180, selling price over the fair value, that's 83%. So therefore, ang discount niyan is 17. letter B or customer B, 200 less over 190, that's 105. So wala po tayo ditong discount. Wala pong unreasonably lower selling price. In fact, mas mataas pa ang selling price kaysa sa fair value. Here, 102 over 150, the percentage is only 68%. And the discount is 32%. Sabi natin kanina, so if that is unreasonably lower by 30%, ang gagamitin po natin is the fair value. Now, kung unreasonably lower po ito si customer C, kasi nga it's more than 30% po ang deficiency niya as compared to its fair value. In fact, 32% ang discount. So therefore, we will not be using the 102,000 as the selling price, but the fair value of 150,000. Okay, 150. Sa selling price na 150 versus 180, gagamitin natin si 150 kasi hindi naman siya unreasonably lower. Same goes to customer B na in fact, overpricing pa siya as to the fair value. But here, ang tax basis natin for customer C, since that is unreasonably lower, ang gagamitin natin is not the selling price, but the fair value. And that is 150,000. Kaya if you're going total that one, okay, go ahead and calculator. Okay, that's 150,000 pesos plus 200,000 plus 150. That's 500,000 times 0.12%. Therefore, our output VAT is 60,000 pesos. Okay? So how about another example? So ito, a VAT registered seller made the following sales at unreasonably lower selling prices. Ang gagawin natin dito, class, is just the same. We will be determining if that is if the selling price is unreasonably lower as compared to the fair value. But before that, let us identify who are the customers. The customers are the following: the City of San Fernando and ABC Trading Company. So, City of San Fernando is a government. Therefore, kahit na mag-unreasonably lower po yan, ang gagamitin talaga natin is the actual selling price. But on the other hand, ABC Trading Company, if mag-unreasonably lower po ito, ang gagamitin natin is not the selling price but the fair value. So ang exception lang po talaga natin dito is the government. Actual selling price po talaga siya. Regardless kung ang gagamitin or kung ang selling price is unreasonably low. Okay, so no need to compute for the government kasi ang gagamitin talaga natin is the 134, which is the actual selling price. So if we are going to compute ABC Trading Company, if ano ba yung percentage niya, that's 100,500 over 150. So that's 67%. So 67% is unreasonably lower or not? Actually, it's unreasonably lower. Kasi nga, di ba? More than 30% po ang discount niya. In fact, 67% lang ang selling price niya. Okay? Kaya, ang gagamitin natin dito is not the selling price, but the fair value. Okay, so 150. Ayan. So 134 plus 150, 134,000 plus 150 equals times 0.12. Therefore, we could have 34,080 pesos of our output VAT. I hope that's clear, no? So let's proceed now to the output VAT based on sale of services. Here, magkaiba po sila ng perspective kanina kasi we are selling goods. Here, we are providing services. And actually, they're also subject to VAT. Okay, so 12% pa din, pero kanina kasi 12% VAT based on the gross selling price regardless kung nakolekta na ba natin yan or not. Basta yung sales, total sales. Here, sale of services. Tingnan natin if same lang ba sila ng principal. So here, illustration number 4, VAT registered repairman had the following revenue and collection during the month. So we have your client A for services rendered. The revenue is 200, the collection is 200, so wala po tayong balance dyan. Okay? So, service fee 100, pero out of the 100, ang collection na natin is 50,000. Therefore, meron pa tayong receivable na 50,000 pesos. How about for client B? Work not yet started. Hindi pa po nagsa-start, pero nakakuha na po tayo, nakakollect na po tayo ng 500,000 pesos on the contract. So, dito, wala po tayong revenue kasi nga accrual basis po tayo, right? So, magre-recognize lang po tayo ng tawag nito, ng revenue when the service is conducted or provided. Pero nakakolekta na po tayo. Okay? So, wala po muna tayong balance dyan. Now, here, the gross receipt of the output VAT of sale of services includes advances and collection of amounts charged for labor and materials included with the service. Therefore, kung magkano yung nakolekta, yun lang po yung i-charge for VAT on services. Therefore, depende po, no, irregardless kung nakolekta or kung na-earn ba yan or hindi, as long as nakolekta yan, subject to VAT yan. Like here, no, dito for client A, ang collection natin is 250, yun lang yung nalalagay natin. For client B, which is advances, even though wala pa tayong revenue, but nag-advance payment naman sila, matcha-charge pa din yan for output VAT. Kasi gross receipts po ang basis natin dito. 250 plus 200, that's 450. And from that 450, mag-multiply tayo ng 12 para makuha po natin yung output VAT natin na 54,000 pesos. I hope that is clear, no? Now, let's proceed to the output VAT of sale of properties. Okay, magkaiba na naman po ito kanina, sale of goods. A while ago, sale of services. Ngayon na naman, output VAT on sale of properties. So, what is the VATability of of the sale of properties? Here are the guidelines. Okay, so when it comes to sale of properties by a dealer, developer, or lessor of real properties under the law, yung sale po natin including the pre-selling, barter or exchange of real properties by a realty, dealer is subject to VAT on the gross selling price. So in the case of sale, barter or exchange of real property class, the term gross selling price was interpreted to mean the consideration stated in the sales document. Yung basihan po natin for the GSP or the gross selling price. That is the fair value of the property. Okay? Ayan. Ay, no. Gross selling price was mean to be the consideration stated in the sales document or yung fair value, whichever is higher. So, pipili pa po tayo dito. So, depende pa po. It's either the fair value or the consideration na nakastate sa document kung ano yung mas mataas, yun po yung gross selling price. Okay? Simply, the gross selling price is the amount higher of the selling price or the market value. So, that's in other words. No? Selling price versus market value, kung ano po yung mas mataas, yun po yung gross selling price natin. The fair market value is higher between zonal and assessed value. So, meron pa talaga tayong i-weigh or i-compare no in getting the fair value. Kasi in getting the fair value, may dalawa. It's between zonal and assessed. Kung ano yung mas mataas, yun yung pwede natin gawing fair market value. Now we have another guidelines here. In the absence of zonal value, the gross selling price shall mean the assessed value or consideration stated in the sales document, whichever is higher. So yan po, no? Kapag wala po tayong zonal value, wala po tayong pang compare with the assessed value. But sabi dito sa guidelines, ang gross selling price shall mean the assessed value or the consideration stated in the document or the selling price, whichever is higher. B, if the gross selling price is based on the zonal value or assessed value of the property, then the zonal value or assessed shall be presumed exclusive of VAT. When we say exclusive of VAT, wala pa pong kasamang VAT yun. Okay? Di pa po naka-add up yung VAT natin dyan. However, if the fair market value is higher than the selling price, the output VAT must be separately billed with specific mention that the VAT is billed separately based on the market value of the property. I know medyo confusing, pero we just simply be reminded of this na ang gross selling price, it's the higher between selling price or the fair market value. Ang fair market value, it's the higher between the zonal and the assessed. Kapag walang zonal value, edi yung selling price at saka yung assessed value na lang kayo, whichever is higher. Kung base naman siya, ang selling price sa zonal value or assessed, exclusive of VAT po yan. And if the fair market value is higher than the selling price, kailangan po nakabill po siya separately. Same with your official receipts, right? Sa OR ninyo, if you can still observe, if nag-ask po kayo for official receipt, nandun po yan, no, nakaseparate po talaga ang computation ng VAT doon sa kanyang invoice amount. Okay? So we have here an example. Okay? Sa example natin, Mr. Ramos, a real property dealer, sold a commercial lot on June of the current year. Commercial lot po ito. The following sale relates to the sale. Meron po siyang appraisal value, zonal value, assessed, and the selling price. Ang kailangan po natin dito is the selling price or the actual of the consideration on the sales document, that's 3.8, or the fair value. Alam natin, ang fair value, it's the higher between the appraisal value and the zonal value. So that's 4,500,000 appraisal. Ang zonal value is 4 million. Okay. Ayan. So here, the one to be compare is, so babasahin muna natin yung note. The fair market value is the VAT base since it is higher than the 3.8. Ayan. Okay. Ayan. Sige. Bakit 3 higher than the 3.8? Kasi ang selling price is 3.8 million. While yung fair market value natin is higher than the assessed and the zonal. Mas mataas naman ang zonal. So ang fair market value natin ngayon is the 4 million. So i-compare natin siya sa selling price na 3.8. Mas higher talaga ang 4 million. Kaya siya po yung magiging natin, gross selling price. So that's 4 million times 12. Okay, our answer niyan is 480,000 pesos. Sir, baka meron magtaka kayo, no? May appraisal value dito. Appraisal value is an independent appraisal. And that is not NIRC prescribed. So, hindi po siya kino-consider. Tatandaan niyo po sana yan. Okay? So here, we have output VAT, which is installment recognition. There are times na pwede po natin i-recognize yung output VAT natin on installment. Okay? To proceed, the output VAT on the sale of real properties by realty dealers po tayo, shall be reported in the month of sale. However, if the property is sold on installment plan, the output VAT may be reported in installment. Okay? Lalo na kapag ang selling price is medyo mataas talaga or mahal. Okay? And that is on the part of realty. So we have here sale of real property on installment plan. When do we know na pwede pong i-installment? Okay, ito po yan. So this means that the sale of real property by a real estate deal where yung initial payment in which the year of sale does not exceed 25% of the selling price. So kapag ang ano pa ni natin, ang initial payment pala, if hindi yan nag-exceed by 25% of the actual selling price, pwede po nating hatiin ang total output VAT into installments. Basta lang, ang initial payment is not more than 25%. So, here we have illustration number 7. So, on August 1, 2019, A real property dealer sold a commercial lot with the following data. Okay. Zonal value, assessed value, and selling price. May down payment po siyang 500,000 na na-paid po, no? And with the balance due in 36 monthly installments of 125 starting September. So ang hinahanap po natin dito is, or inaalam, kung pwede po ba siya or applicable pa po ba ang installment recognition of the VAT here. Ngayon, so compute muna tayo ng output VAT. Ang output VAT is the higher between the selling price and the fair value. Ang fair value is the higher between the zonal and the assessed. 6 million as to 4,500,000, mas mataas talaga yung zonal. So ang zonal will be considered as our fair value versus the selling price. So the output VAT is 6 million. Multiply that by 12. 12%, that's 720,000 pesos. Okay. So from that 720,000 pesos, we are asking if ito bang 720 babayaran natin agad or pwede po siyang ma-report on installments. So kailangan natin computein muna kung magkano na ba ang naging initial payment niya on that particular year. So nung August, nag-down payment po siya ng 500 and nagbayad siya ng 125 starting September 1. So starting September 1 up to December, bayad siya ng 125 plus yung down payment na 500, magkano po ba yan? That's 1 million. Pero magkano bang selling price niya? Huwag tayo dun sa higher ha, selling price talaga. Kung 1 million na naging initial payment during the year, i-divide po natin yan sa selling price na 5 million sa given, that is 20%. Therefore, hindi pa po nag-exceed ng 25%. Kaya pwede pa po natin siyang ma-report itong output VAT natin on installment. Okay, so paano ba yan? Here. So, ang ating reportable output VAT will be this one. The reportable output VAT in each month under the installment method shall be computed as follows. Since itong 720, okay, pwede po siyang mahati. Ayun. Paano po ba natin nahatiin? Ipo-prorate lang po natin, class. So, paano ba ipo-prorate? During August, meron po siyang 500 down payment. During September onwards, until December, may 125. I-divide lang natin siya sa selling price and then i-multiply natin kung magkano yung pwedeng i-report sa 720 during that month. So, eto po, meron po tayong formula, 500, the down payment over the selling price times 720. So therefore, on the month of August, ang i-report lang nating output VAT will be 72,000 pesos. On September, and every month thereafter hanggang December, okay, 125 divided by 5 million, that's the selling price, times 720, ang babayaran lang natin from September onwards is 18,000 pesos. For the VAT, ha? Okay. Ngayon, as a seller, paano ba natin siya i-bill? Okay, the amount to be billed by the seller for each installment sale is, since 125 ang ating sisingilin sa kanya, i-add po natin yung VAT, 125 plus 18,000. So ang babayaran natin is 143,000 pesos. Ang babayaran ng customer rather. Okay, may VAT po talaga yan. Ngayon, paano po natin siya i-report doon sa VAT reporting natin or filing? Okay, so si VAT po is reported quarterly pero meron po tayong monthly reporting din. Okay? So, sorry. Noong July, wala po siyang transaction kasi nangyari po ang transaction August. So, August 72, okay? During September, so that's the end of the third quarter. Basta end of the third quarter, end of quarter, iko-cumulative po natin yan actually. Lahat-lahat, no? Okay, 72 during June, plus meron po tayong VAT na 18,000 during September, 90,000 pesos po lahat-lahat. Okay? Ayan. So, sir, 90,000 ba kung bayaran during September? Hindi po. 90,000, magle-less ka or magka-credit ka ng 72 dyan. So, 18 pa din yung magiging payment mo. So, ayan. It's just that on the reporting, magko-cumulative po tayo. Okay, halimbawa sa fourth quarter, since 125 naman lahat, yung kanyang payment, so that's 18,000 per month. Pero tingnan nyo, on the last quarter, naging 54 yan. Kasi, sabi ko nga, on the last quarter, ino-cumulative po yan. Plus 18,000. 54,000 bang babayaran natin, sir, during December? Hindi po, kasi nga, meron na tayong na-remit na 18,000 on November and 18,000 during October. So, parang 18,000 pa din yung babayaran natin sa December. Kaya nga lang, naging 54 siya, it's because cumulative po ang presentation po natin. Magta-tax credit lang tayo. Okay? So, yan po ang ating installment recognition of output VAT. To continue, sale of property by a dealer on a deferred payment basis. Ito po, class, diretso po, agad-agad po natin siyang i-report on the month of sale if sumobra na po siya, okay, or hindi na po siya qualified for installment payment. So, to proceed, this shall be treated as a cash sale if it's not on installment plan. The fair value of the gross selling price, whichever is higher, is subject to VAT in the month of sale. So kung hindi siya pasok doon sa installment recognition, right, agad-agad talaga, right after the month of sale, doon mo ibabayad lahat-lahat ng VAT. Say, okay, we have here an example. On August 1, ABC ABC Realty Corporation sold a residential property with a market value of 5 million for 4 million pesos. The terms of the sale require a down payment of 400 and yung balance, monthly installments na po ng 200 starting September 30. Okay? So, ayan po. May down payment po nung August na 400 plus 200 starting September. Okay, hanggang December po yan. Okay, kasi ang i-measure po natin, lahat ng initial payments during that year, the year of sale. So 400 plus 200 plus 200 hanggang December 1.2, magkano bang selling price? May market value siyang 5 pero ang selling price is 4 million. So 1.2, okay, 1.2 divided by 4 million, I think sumobra na po tayo ng 25%. So it's beyond, in fact, 30% po. So meaning hindi po siya pwedeng ma-installment recognition. Kaya, yung 600,000 pesos natin, paano ba nakuha yung output VAT na 600,000? Ang mas higher kasi is the 5 million over the selling price. Multiply that by 10, etong 600,000 na to, reported talaga siya as agad-agad. Okay? Kung kailan nangyaring sale August, sa August po siya babayaran. Yan, hindi na po siya naka-installment. Kasi nga, 30%. Nag-exceed na po siya. To continue, interest and penalties. Actually, interest and penalties are subject to VAT. Kaya if ever may mga penalties po, hindi nakapagbayad, so kung mag-bill ka with the VAT, okay, so kailangan din i-VAT din natin yung interest at saka yung penalty. Okay, let's have an example. No? Illustration number 9. Mac Ramos, a VAT taxpayer, made a sale with sale of real property with a fair market value of 3 million. For 2 million, there is a 360 output VAT on the sale, qualified for installment reporting. So during the month, Mac Ramos is due to receive the following net of VAT. Meron po tayong installment dyan, 200,000, interest and the penalty. So ang total natin is 216. Ngayon, kuha muna tayo ng output VAT. Diba? The output VAT is yung installment natin, the interest, and the penalty. So, sir, meron po kasi tayong 360 VAT. Okay, output VAT. And then, qualified po siya for installment reporting. So, paano nga natin kukunin yung proportionate natin dito? Actually, mag-prorate tayo. Magkano bang installment payment niya? 200,000. Okay, erase muna natin. 200,000. I-divide natin sa selling price. Actually, the selling price is 2 million. Ang fair value niya is 3 million. So divide natin by 2 million. That's 10% multiply by 360. That's the output VAT. So ang VAT po ng 200 is 36,000. Okay? So again, yung interest and penalty is also subject to VAT. Kaya may makikita tayo dyan na 12,000 times 0.12. That's 1,440. And the penalty, which is 4,000 times 12%, 480. So therefore, ang total na output VAT natin is 37,920. Itong 37,920, i-add po natin ito sa installment payment po natin na 216. So from that 216, mag-a-add po tayo ng output VAT that is 37,920. Add po natin all together, the total billing is 253,920 pesos. Okay? So same lang naman sila doon sa installment, kaya nga lang, in-emphasize lang natin na vatable din yung interest and penalties. I think that's the end of our part 1, output VAT. So the next topic that I am going to discuss is the part 2 of the output VAT, and that is transaction beam sales and the zero-rated sales. So that will be out on the next video tutorial, so kindly wait na lang po. So I hope na you understand our lecture for this day. See you again next meeting for our next video tutorial. Bye-bye, class.